and welcome to the Gamers Table. It is Friday, and we are reviewing of Pride and Policy. Stop bugging me, Alan.
When are you going to review it? When are you going to review it?
The people call out for justice. We'll give them justice.
Justice!
They call out for
There
liberty.
you go.
They
Liberty! All right.
And we'll give them that too.
Liberty.
We'll give them everything they call out for, exactly
Pizza!
as we've designed.
I don't have
Oh.
a pizza token.
Well, there is
that.
an
And
orange
in
one.
our magnanimity,
Minute.
we will turn the ear of the king in our favor. That is when things really start to change.
Wow.
For once you've had the king's ear, his eyes are sure to move.
Ew.
Dude, king parts.
Sooner or later, you may find that you've gotten a hold of his whole head. That's what it says. Our time is coming if we have to swallow our pride and dance a dance for king and people while abiding our time, then so be it. We have a vision for this land, and by the power invested in us, we will make it so. When you think about the theme of the game, a whole bunch of nobles writing up documents, paragraphs, whatever, and then presenting this to the people to vote.
This follows after Power and Glory, which was Alan's first. So this is the second one in this series. There's also a third one, Feast and Famine, which is a cooperative game we'll be reviewing soon as well. So you set up the board by laying out the game board,
The game board.
putting out the 4
White cubes.
white cubes. I can't remember what they're called.
Can't remember what they're called.
No, I knew white cubes. I couldn't remember what they were referred to in the game.
Yes.
And then you put all these.
Tracker cubes.
Thank you.
Tracker
Puerto
cubes.
Rico goods.
Yes, all the little octo barrels. These are the different populations in the different regions of the different areas of the different countries.
Whatever.
And you all get one of each of the 8 colors of the different types of influence.
And 5 at random will go on the spoils section of the board.
Yes,
too.
and once you set all that out, you all get your nobles. One of them goes on the scoring track, and the other bunch get to you. You have access to all your workers right from the start. There's none of this having to buy workers and somebody gets ahead that way. So the main point of the game is to take your one guy on the victory track up to the maximum. And to do that, you have to spend the discs. The disc will be set to worth different values based on how you make legislation.
Yeah, that sounds kind of boring. Kind of is.
Like I said before, I'll say it again. You kind of start. Everyone starts off evenly. You got the same number of tokens. Everyone's pretty equal, and it kind of progresses along that way. That was pretty much what happened with when we played 3 players. I liked it better. I think when we had more players. Like 4 or 5 would be best.
If you look at the board, there's 8 colors on the outside that represents the different issues. And you have opposing issues, like with everything. You got conservatism, liberalism. You got industry, agriculture, expansionism, isolation. And the one that's a little bit confusing to me is liberty and justice. I thought liberty and justice kind of went hand in hand. They weren't opposing.
Liberty and justice for all, but not in this game.
No, definitely not in this game.
Well, even though they get the opposing issues and that, well, the colors are actually opposing the two, literally on the color chart too.
It's not a very random game except for this one aspect with all the little influence tokens, because you're drawing them randomly. You start with one of each of the 8 colors, and there are 8 of each color, meaning 64 altogether in the bag. So you can start counting. Okay, he's got 5 of the yellows, he's got 2 yellows, so there's 7 yellows on the table. There's only 1 more in the bag, so it's really not any point trying to push yellow. It's probably going to keep yellow worth nothing, so those guys are never going to score points. It's that kind of give and take that you're looking for, and it's 4 different tracks where you have give and take on each one of them. There are 5 tables on the board. If you're not playing with 5 players, you'll take one of the unused colors and mark off tables, so there's only as many tables available as there are number of players. And that basically makes it so that the confrontation will happen. Otherwise, you could all just sort of sit off on your own little table and do your own thing and ignore it.
Yeah.
But what you're going to do to make a policy is start stacking these discs up. If there gets to be...
Those are the issues.
Those are the issues. You're basically writing a document, and
Issue.
I'm writing something about expansion in it, and I'm writing something about being farmers, and I'm writing something about knowledge. And as soon as you've got 3 of them in the air, anybody can force the vote. And looking at the status of the little guys that are either standing up or laying down, you already know where there's going to pass.
It's a very stereotypical game. The red guys, they will everything that is, if it's industry based, they're for it. If they're a green guy, if it's agriculture based, if there's agriculture in there, they'll vote for it. Mm-hmm. And you can move the guys around depending on what the influence. Like as an action, you can take one off and replace it with one on the influence track, as long as there's one adjacent
of the same
color.
So you're basically sort of, your guys are cruising out through, hey, no, really, no. You should actually vote for farm, because farm is good. It's a good thing. You should vote for it.
Farm is good.
I like grapes.
And then all of a sudden he changes from like whatever to the white isolations to, ooh, I'm a farmer too now.
Yeah. Or you could have, as an action, one of your guys go out and unduly influence them, say, hey, okay, you're gonna vote for that no matter what, or all, that's it.
I tell you what, it's in your best interest. You're gonna be voting for the farmers.
So yeah, you'd put your token on that territory spot, and that vote cannot be influenced.
I mean, there's definitely some control you have in this. If you got control of a certain color, you can make sure the opposing, if you have all the yellow or a majority of the yellow, you can make sure the opposing color, purple, is unhindered, as long as you don't play with those tokens. At the same time, if you got that many of those tokens, you could, if you are out of purple at the time, you can go hard stance on that issue, and all your tokens then become 1, which can be quite powerful. Well, there's a douchebaggery thing that I did and I enjoyed doing, is if people are around on the table and they don't quite have the votes, but they spent a whole bunch of actions doing it, as long as there's 3 guys there, you don't have to be there. You could force the vote. And thus, if the vote passes, then you adjust the scale, the tracks. If the vote doesn't pass, the issues just get dumped.
You wasted a bunch of tokens.
A piece of legislature or whatever.
What, are you saying so some politicians wasted a bunch of time sitting around a table and accomplished nothing? That doesn't happen.
Yeah.
That never happens.
Good point. So
wrapping up for...
Let's
Pride and policy.
Let's prorogue the government.
I was going to say pride and policy too, but then I almost said power and glory. It's like,
Yeah.
no, it's pride and policy.
Pride and policy, yes.
Theme. It is a nobles in a fictional past theme of trying to do government stuff. It does hold with the theme fairly well, but unfortunately the theme is really, really dry. Yeah. I think of Power and Glory, the theme was a little bit better. There's a little more action in Power and Glory than there is in this one.
Power and Glory is really dry too, but carry on.
Yeah.
It's more action. This one...
There's a little bit more to happen.
Action.
Yes.
There's not nearly as much screw you factor. Easy to play. Again, there's some paces in the rule book where you're not quite sure what they're talking about. I give of Pride and Policy a 6.
Yeah, I'm just not a big fan of this one as much as I am of Power and Glory. There's a little bit more going on in the other game. This one here, everyone starts off equal, and it kind of progresses along that way too, unless something really, somebody's really silly, I guess, or something. I don't find there's too much to it. We kept doing the same things over and over again. Nobody really went on the territories to, lock in a vote or anything like that. We either went to the tables and, drove up the price.
I would have done it. It just felt like a waste of an action.
Yeah, it
so
didn't.
I never did.
So that's why we never did it. It just seemed like a waste of an action. So we just tried to drive the issues up in value in that, and we pretty much stuck to the same colors. We didn't fight over them too much. So yeah, our scores kept going up and up pretty equally, and it just got down to the last turn pretty much. But the gameplay itself, it's just a little too dull for me to want to play, repeatedly or anything like that, or even fairly often. I'd pick it up maybe once in a blue moon or something like that, but other than that, it's just going to be a 6 for me.
I like this game. It is definitely dry, but there's definite strategy and screw you factor going on. You have to be careful not to be screwed in. I mean, there's so many opportunities in between your turn where you could just see everything that you worked for just kind of go down the tubes. But yeah, it's definitely a good game. You could definitely get a little bit more into the game by like having fun with it, like expansionists. We need to expand our country, and I don't know. I give Of Pride and Policy a 7.
So that's this thoughts.
That's all, folks, for the Gamers Table. We'll see you next week for another game on Friday.
He said.
All the yellow tokens were there. Yellow was not going to move unless Craig was going to play it, and he was in no hurry to play it to reduce purples. So, which was, let's see, yellow and purple was conservatism and liberalism. So, I'm not sure what I'm saying at this point, but
Hail, Seek Softhand! We bring you provisions. Hail! Softhand's hurt!
He's not hurt. He's dead.
Shut up, Far!
He's dying. I'm amazed he survived this long.
We've been tricked. Someone has been ahead of us every step of the way.
I name you Thief of the Scroll.
They killed Will Strongarm! I saw them! Oh, I'm sure they'll try for me next!
Trace? Blackwings? Oh, Simeon! Why did you have to take everyone from me? Ah!